You can control the swatch, accessibility, and color descriptions with a custom configuration. This is similar to what I showed you with the UI libraries, but it gives you more control, and you can use it without a supported UI library. Here is my local development environment, and I've got 4 CSS variables, which are here on the page. And as you can see, the extension has picked up the colors, but there's no descriptions. This is a React component that's also at the top of the page. You don't need to use React. This is just one way of doing it. So I'm going to start off by going to the About tab, and I'm going to get this TypeScript object. I'm going to make an object of that type. So const config, which is a type config, is an object. I'm then going to JSON stringify that object and put it in the div. So JSON stringify that. I'm going to go back to the About tab, and I'm going to grab this data attribute, and I'm going to put that on the div. There we go. When I go back to the colors list, nothing has changed, but that's because we haven't put any information in this config object yet. So the first thing I'm going to do is set up the swatch. So swatch is an array, and in that array, you put the names of the color variables that you want to have in the swatch. So if I just add error for starters, you can see it turns up here. So let's add the other ones. We've got cards, primary, and primary background. And there we go. We have all of the colors that we want in the swatch. Next, I'm going to do accessibility. Accessibility is nested arrays. That's because you need one array for the 2 colors that you're comparing, and then you have the other array because you're probably testing more than one color. So let's first test primary and primary background. And there you go. It's appearing here. In fact, let's move these around to make a bit more space. And then let's add the next array, which is going to be card and error. And there you go. We now have the accessibility panel. This is getting a little bit ugly, and you don't really need to be seeing this. So I'm going to hide this. I'm using Tailwind. So all I need to do is set class of hidden. Oops, if I can spell hidden. But you can hide it with any CSS. You don't need to be using Tailwind. And in fact, if this feels a bit messy to you, you could even not load this React component on prod and just have it in dev. But that's entirely up to you. The color groups can work in 2 different ways, which you'll be able to see on the TypeScript type here. So you can have one description, which is for the group, and then you have another description, which is for the individual colors. So I'll walk you through both options. Color groups, and it's an array. Oops. So this first option, the description here, this is for the color group. So I'm going to say, these are the primary call to actions. And then you need to set the colors. This is an array. These are also objects. So the name, again, this is the name of the CSS variable. Let's do primary, and let's do another one, which is primary background. And great, that's showing up, and it's kind of looking how we want it to. The problem is, when I go to the AI generation tab, we don't have descriptions here. And as I was saying, that's because we've set a description for the color group, but not the individual colors. So let's do that next. This first one is going to have the same description. And this next one, I'm going to say background for primary call to action. So now when I go to AI generation, it's got these descriptions, so that's great. When I go back to colors, this is looking a little bit messy, and it's kind of redundant to have primary call to action written so many times. So you also have a settings object where you can hide this. So let's go to setting. And what we want is this quite long name here. Show color descriptions in color groups. The default is true, so I'm going to set it to false. And now it's hidden here, but we still have it on the AI generation. Of course, you don't need to do it this way. You don't need to have descriptions for the groups. You can just have descriptions for the colors. So if I remove this, now we just have descriptions for the individual colors. I don't think one way is better than the other. It's just entirely up to you. Looking at the TypeScript type, you can see we also have library and color format. So you can override these, but that will set the default library and color format, or color channel, sorry, when you first open the extension.